TIFU by trusting my wife who betrayed my family's privacy in a spectacularly hurtful and unbelievably foolish way. I learned my wife is not the person I thought she was, and it's all come crashing down around me in the worst possible way. I am still processing it all, if I'm honest. I am not sure what my next step is. My wife has been acting strange lately. I brushed it off as stress from work. She is a lawyer, and she has had some difficult cases recently. I thought she was just bringing her work home with her. I noticed she was on her phone a lot more than usual, always texting. When I asked her about it, she said it was just work stuff. I wanted to believe her. Now I am not so sure. I saw a message pop up the other day. It was a name I did not recognize. I felt a knot in my stomach. I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't. The secrecy bothered me more than anything else. So, I did some digging. I know I probably shouldn't have, but I looked through her phone when she was in the shower. I found messages between her and the guy whose name I saw. They were talking about meeting up. They were talking about things that were not appropriate for people who were just friends. It turns out the guy is a colleague of my father. They had met at a university event. I am still trying to understand how things escalated so quickly. I feel betrayed by both my wife and my father in some way. It started innocently enough. My father works at the local university. He is a history professor, specializing in early American history. It is his passion, his life's work, really. He loves to teach, and he loves to share his knowledge with students. He is a good man. My wife and I have been married for 5 years. I love her very much, or at least, I thought I did. She is a teacher as well, though at a different school. She teaches English at the local high school. We often talk about our jobs, our students, the challenges and rewards of being educators. It was something we bonded over. I always valued these conversations. I believed we were open with each other. We shared almost all aspects of our lives. I thought we had a strong and honest relationship. I now wonder if I was wrong about that. I'm starting to question many things. I am struggling to process some recent information. I did not think much about it when she first brought up the student. Teachers often talk about their students. It is part of the job. It seemed normal that she would discuss a student who was facing difficulties. She is a caring person. I trusted her intentions. I never imagined it would become something else. A few months ago, my wife started mentioning a particular student in her class. She said this student, a girl, was struggling with some personal issues and was having a hard time focusing on her schoolwork. My wife said she was trying to be supportive, to offer her guidance and encouragement. I thought it was admirable. I was proud of her for caring about her students. Then, things started to get weird. My wife began asking me questions about my father's work. Not in a general, curious way, but specific questions about his lectures, his research, even his emails. I didn't think much of it at first. I figured she was just trying to make conversation, to show an interest in my family's life. My dad sometimes shares funny stories about his students or interesting historical facts, so I would relay these to her, thinking nothing of it. I thought her questions were a way of connecting with me. She would ask about the obscure topics my father studies. I found it a bit odd that she remembered so many details about his work, details I had mentioned only once. She would bring up random facts about ancient civilizations during dinner. I brushed it off as her being quirky and interested in learning. I felt happy she was taking an interest in something related to my family. I should have noticed the pattern sooner. I found out she had been meeting my father for coffee without my knowledge. She told me she was researching a personal project and wanted his opinion. My father confirmed this, saying he had met her a few times to discuss history. I confronted her about why she had kept it a secret from me. She said she didn't want me to feel like she was bothering my father. I believed her for a short time. I should have questioned her more. I am an idiot. My father is a very private person. He doesn't share much about his personal life with his students. He keeps things professional. However, he does use a messaging app to communicate with his students, to answer their questions, to provide them with extra help. He shared a few screenshots with me once when he was trying to show me how some of the students were using the app, because he is older and struggles with technology. I didn't think much about the screenshots at the time. I saw student names and messages. I didn't pay close attention to the content. I assumed it was just questions about assignments. I know he's very careful about maintaining boundaries. He is always worried about doing anything that could be misinterpreted. He is a professor at a university. He has to be careful. Then the other day I remembered the messaging app. My father asked me to help him with his new phone. I was setting it up for him. I noticed a message from a student. It was a name I recognized from the screenshots he showed me before. It was not work-related. I felt uneasy. I did not say anything to him about it then. One evening, I was at my father's house for dinner. My mother was out of town visiting her sister. My father was grading papers at the dining room table. I was sitting across from him, scrolling through my phone. Suddenly, he stopped grading and looked up at me with a strange expression on his face. He asked if I had told my wife anything about his recent lectures. I said that I had mentioned a few things, funny anecdotes mostly. He was quiet for a moment, then said, he was concerned that some of his personal messages with students were being shared outside of his classroom. He explained that he had been hearing some of the things he had mentioned in private student messages repeated almost verbatim by a student in my wife's class. I didn't understand why he was telling me this. I wondered if he thought my wife was the one sharing his messages. I decided to ask him directly what he suspected. I phrased it carefully, not wanting to seem accusatory toward my wife. I just said, "Do you think my wife is the one who is repeating these messages?" He looked surprised that I asked that. He said he didn't want to accuse anyone specifically. He said he just wanted to figure out how this information was getting out. He thought perhaps my wife had mentioned something to another student. That student could be in his class and repeating the messages. I told him my wife would never intentionally share private student information. I also told him that she respects his work. I was confused. I asked how that was possible. He said he didn't know, but it was bothering him. He felt like his privacy was being violated. He was also worried that it would undermine his authority with his students. He said if they didn't think that communication with him was secure, he would struggle with trust. At first, I defended my wife. I told my father that he must be mistaken, that there was no way my wife would do something like that. I said she was a good person, a good teacher. I told him maybe the student was just guessing, or maybe she had overheard him talking to someone else. I tried to explain it away. He looked at me sadly. He said he wished he could believe me, but he had evidence. He said the student in my wife's class had quoted exact phrases from his private messages, phrases that he had only shared with 1 or 2 students. He said he had confronted the student about it, and she had admitted that she was getting the information from my wife. My world started to tilt. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't believe it. But deep down, I knew it was true. My dad showed me the messages. He had screenshots. He also had a recording of a phone call. In the call, you can hear my wife talking about the messages. She was laughing. She was making fun of him. I felt betrayed. I felt like my whole life was a lie. I trusted her. I thought she loved me. I thought we were happy. Now I question everything. I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking. I felt like I was going to pass out. I needed to get out of there. I told my dad I would deal with it. I thanked him for telling me. I left his house. I drove home in silence. I tried to process what I had just learned. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I went home that night and confronted my wife. I asked her if she had been sharing my father's private messages with her student. At first, she denied it. She said I was being ridiculous, that my father was overreacting. She said she would never do anything to hurt my family. But I pressed her. I told her that my father had evidence, that the student had confessed. Finally, she broke down. She started crying and admitted that it was true. I asked her why. I needed to understand why a teacher would do that. It made no sense to me that someone in a position of authority would compromise their integrity like that. I asked her if she realized the potential consequences of her actions, not just for herself, but for the student, for the school, for my father. I asked if she understood that what she did was not helpful, but a betrayal of trust and a violation of ethical standards. I told her she jeopardized everyone's career. She explained that she felt pressured. She said the school administration had been pushing teachers to improve student performance on standardized tests. She said they made it clear that teacher evaluations and even job security depended on those scores. She felt like she was in a no-win situation, and the students' struggles pushed her over the edge. She told me she regretted it. She said she would cooperate fully with the investigation. She said she didn't mean to cause any harm. She said she was just trying to help her student. She said the student was struggling, and she thought that by giving her some inside information, some intel, she could help her succeed. She thought it would motivate her, give her an edge. I was furious. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked her how she could be so stupid, so reckless, so completely devoid of any common sense or basic human decency. I asked her if she had any idea how much she had hurt my father, how much she had betrayed his trust. I needed answers right then. I demanded to know exactly what happened and why. I needed to understand how she could do this after all the years, after everything my father had done for her. I tried to remain calm, but my voice was shaking. The words came out harsher than I intended, but I couldn't control it. I felt betrayed too, almost as much as my father. I pushed her to explain herself completely. I wanted to hear every detail, no matter how painful. I had to know if she was truly remorseful or if she was just saying what I wanted to hear. I watched her closely as she spoke, trying to gauge her sincerity. I still don't think she understands the full extent of the damage. She said she was sorry. She said she didn't think it was a big deal. She said she didn't realize how much it would affect my father. I didn't know what to say. I was speechless. I felt like I was looking at a stranger. I didn't recognize the person in front of me. This wasn't the woman I had married. This wasn't the woman I loved. I told her to leave. I said I needed some space. I said I didn't want to see her or talk to her for a while. She packed a bag and left. I have been trying to make sense of it all. I don't understand how my wife could do something so incredibly stupid and hurtful. I don't understand how she could betray my family's trust in such a blatant way. I don't understand how she could put her students' needs above the needs of her own husband and family. I talked to my father. He is devastated. He feels betrayed and violated. He is also worried about the impact this will have on his career. He is afraid that his students will no longer trust him, that his reputation will be tarnished. I am so angry at my wife. I am so disappointed in her. I don't know if I can ever forgive her for what she has done. I don't know if I can ever trust her again. I am considering divorce. I know it sounds extreme, but I don't see any other way. I can't stay married to someone who is capable of such a profound betrayal. I can't stay married to someone who would put her own selfish desires above the needs of her family. I am lost and confused. I don't know what to do. I am reaching out to strangers on the internet for help, for advice, for anything. I feel like my whole life has been turned upside down. The worst part is that she still does not seem to grasp the gravity of what she did. She keeps texting me, apologizing, saying she made a mistake, asking me to forgive her. She still thinks it's not a big deal. I am starting to think that she did it on purpose. Maybe she was jealous of my father's success. Maybe she resented him for some reason. Maybe she just wanted to cause trouble. I don't know. I don't understand. I am just so tired of it all. I need to talk to a lawyer. I need to figure out what my options are. I need to protect myself and my family from any further harm. This whole situation has been a nightmare. I hope that by sharing my story, I can help someone else avoid making the same mistake I did. Don't trust anyone too much. Even the people you love the most are capable of betraying you. I am not sure what the future holds, but I know that it will never be the same. My marriage is likely over. My relationship with my wife is shattered. My family is hurting, all because of one incredibly stupid and selfish act. I hope she is happy with what she has done. I hope she is proud of herself, because she has destroyed everything. Update: I spoke with a lawyer today. He said that what my wife did could potentially have legal ramifications, depending on the nature of the information she shared. He said that if my father's private messages contained any confidential or proprietary information, she could be facing some serious legal trouble. I also spoke with my father again. He is considering filing a complaint with the university. He wants them to investigate the matter and take appropriate action. He feels that my wife's actions have damaged his reputation and undermined his authority as a professor. I am still trying to process everything. I am starting to feel a little bit of hope. Maybe, just maybe, I can get through this. Maybe I can rebuild my life. Maybe I can find happiness again. But right now, all I feel is pain and betrayal.